Welcome to Tired Mommy Revival. Hey mama, are you running on coffee fumes? Feeling like brain fog, fatigue, and anxiety are running the show? Do you wake up dreading the day ahead, already overwhelmed by the endless to-do list and unsure how you'll make it through? Do you long for the energy to enjoy motherhood and care for yourself, but feel stuck and unsure where to start? Let me remind you of something life-changing. You were created for more energy, more clarity, more joy. Hi, I'm Jerusha, certified holistic wellness coach, wife and mom to 2 wild boys and 1 baby girl in heaven. I know the exhaustion you're feeling because I've been there, barely making it through the day, relying on coffee and chocolate to survive, and wondering why nothing I tried ever made me feel better. Then, God stepped in and revealed a powerful truth. A woman's body is beautifully and uniquely designed to thrive. When we align with how God created us, we can boost our energy, bust through fatigue, and step into the vibrant, joy-filled life He has for us. Mama, I'm living proof that it's possible. These days, I wake up refreshed, nourish my body with intention, and navigate the chaos of motherhood with patience and peace. Most days. And I want to help you do the same. If you're ready to swap exhaustion for energy, brain fog for clarity, and guilt for grace, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into practical strategies, faith-filled truths, and empowering tools to renew your health, body, soul, and spirit. Are you ready for this? Let's do it, mama. Hey friend, welcome back to our How to Help Your Kids Love Veggies series. If you're just jumping in, here's a little 10-second rewind of what we've covered in the series so far. In part 2, we talked about how simply cooking amazing food isn't enough. It actually all starts with your family food culture. And in part 3, we uncovered why breakfast is the game changer. Kids are fresher in the morning, and it's the easiest time to add in veggies without a battle. In part 4, we got real about overcoming objections at the table and how consistency plus grace is the key to long-term success. And now here we are in part 5. Today, we're finally heading into the kitchen. I know, the part you've all been waiting for. And I'm going to show you exactly how to meal prep breakfast in a way that's doable, realistic, and totally sustainable. I promise you will not be slaving away at the stove every morning. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with a 1-hour breakfast system you can rinse and repeat, 3 tried and true veggie-loaded recipes for muffins, baked oatmeal, and waffles, a clear picture of why the effort is worth it, nutritionally and practically, plus resources and links to keep you inspired long after this episode ends. Okay, mamas, let's be real. Moving from box cereal to homemade breakfast is more work. There's just no way around that. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be work every single day. The secret is what I call my 1-hour breakfast system. Here's how it works. I spend about an hour once a week getting breakfast ready. And then for the rest of the week, it's basically heat and eat. My kids still feel like mom made breakfast, but I'm not in the kitchen every morning flipping waffles or stirring oatmeal like a short order cook. And let's be clear, I am not a morning person by design. I am by intention, but not by design. If it were up to me, I'd happily sip coffee and skip breakfast altogether. And to be honest, once I really figured out how intermittent fasting worked, I realized I could do that and be healthy too. But I have kids who have growing bodies and they still need fuel. So this system is how I feed them well without losing my sanity before 9 a.m. So here's the flow. The night before is actually when it all begins. I take some time to prep all the ingredients ahead of time. Dry ingredients go into a bowl together. I put a lid on it and set it on the counter. Then all the wet ingredients and the veggies get prepped and blended, put into a bowl, and tucked into the fridge for the next morning. Also, I take out all my tools, the waffle maker, muffin tins, a baking dish, whatever I'm gonna need. So in the morning, I'm not hunting for them half asleep. The goal is to wake up, dump, stir, bake, and done. So the next step is batch and freeze. In the morning, everything gets mixed together. Waffles get made in bulk, cooled, and frozen with wax paper between layers. Muffins get doubled, so we always have extras in the fridge or freezer. And baked oatmeal, it goes in the fridge for the week. And sometimes I bake two at once, one to eat, one to freeze for later. Step 3 is to find a weekly rhythm. I pick one less busy day to do my breakfast prep. It's not perfect, and I've had weeks where I dropped the ball and suddenly everything ran out at once. And then I'm cooking a small army's worth of food in one day. Not fun. But when I stick to once a week, we're stocked and it's pretty stress-free. The last piece of the puzzle is setting food boundaries. If you're just beginning your veggie journey, getting your kids to eat the veggies and be okay with them is half the battle. But on the other hand, you might realize that your kids are actually plowing through the food so quickly you can't keep up. And this is definitely where we found ourselves at one point. And so I started setting limits on what they ate in the morning. 2 muffins or 2 waffles is plenty. If they're still hungry, I offer them fruit, yogurt, or cheese. 9 times out of 10, they don't actually want more food. They just want more waffles. And listen, mama can only make so many waffles. This has actually been a really healthy way for us to set food boundaries for our kids so that they can enjoy what they have now and know that it's going to be there tomorrow to enjoy again, while also respecting the fact that homemade food takes work. So that's the system. One focused hour a week, a little planning ahead, and suddenly breakfast feels easy. No slaving over the stove every morning, no guilt, and way fewer meltdowns, yours or the kids. Now let's talk about the food. One of the easiest places to start with a veggie-loaded breakfast is muffins. In fact, these spinach chocolate chip muffins were one of our first big wins. They're basically oatmeal in muffin form, but with spinach blended right in. My oldest won't touch a bowl of oatmeal. It's really not his favorite, but he loves these. And that just proves sometimes it's not the food that's the problem, it's the form. Different shape, different texture, completely different story. Now, let's be honest. The chocolate chips are what seal the deal here. My kids will tell you they're the best part, and I don't argue. We use mini dark chocolate chips from either Enjoy Life or Bake Believe. Those are our 2 favorite brands. And yes, breakfast can get a little chocolatey and messy with my younger one, but if I can get spinach into my kids before school, that's a trade I'll happily make. With muffins, I usually double the recipes, so we end up with at least 24. They need to be stored in the fridge since there's no preservatives. And here's a tip. If you're using paper muffin liners, they'll stick after refrigeration. Silicone liners, on the other hand, are amazing. They're truly nonstick, and since they hold their shape so well, you can actually line them up on a baking tray instead of putting them in a muffin tin, which means you can bake way more muffins in one batch, saving you time and energy. In the morning, we just warm them gently for that fresh from the oven feel. Quick, simple, and my kids think they're getting a treat, while I know they're actually getting spinach and oats. Win-win. Next up is baked oatmeal, which has become a favorite in our house. And honestly, it's even easier than stovetop oatmeal because I don't have to babysit it. No standing at the stove, no stirring, no extra pots to clean. I just mix, bake, and we're done. I usually make ours in a smaller glass dish. I think it's like 7 by 11 since I've got 2 kids. And that amount lasts us about a week. Now, if you've got a bigger crew, you can scale the recipe up by about 1.5 and use a 9 by 13 pan so it'll stretch further. Here's what I love about baked oatmeal. You can totally switch up the flavors so it never feels boring. Think blueberry zucchini, chocolate spinach, orange creamsicle, pumpkin chocolate chip, or carrot cake oatmeal. Yes, carrot cake for breakfast. And let me tell you, calling it cake goes a long way with kids. The carrot cake version is one of my favorites to start with if your kids are still a little suspicious of green things. Orange veggies like carrots are much less intimidating. My tip, take the extra step to grate the carrots on the smallest side of your grater. They basically melt right into the oatmeal so the texture is softer and way less noticeable. And if you want to really sell it as carrot cake, whip up a quick cream cheese topping. Just softened cream cheese, a tablespoon or two of butter, a drizzle of maple syrup, and a splash of vanilla. Spread it on top, and suddenly breakfast feels like dessert, but without the sugar crash. We keep the baked oatmeal in the fridge and just cut out squares to reheat in the morning. If you prefer creamy oatmeal, you can warm it with a splash of milk, but we usually eat it like a breakfast casserole. It also freezes beautifully. I like to bake one in my regular dish and then line another pan with foil so I can freeze it without losing a baking dish to the freezer. Once it's cooled and frozen solid, I just lift it out with the foil, wrap it up tight, and stash it away in the freezer. When we're ready, I thaw it back in the glass pan in the fridge overnight. It's simple, versatile, and a whole lot more fun than a pack of instant oats. Now let's talk about the star of the show, waffles. These are hands down the most exciting breakfast in our house. They're also the most work, which is why I don't make them every week, but they're worth it. We use mini waffle makers from Dash. You can find them at Walmart, Target, or even Kohl's. They come in fun seasonal shapes too, like hearts, pumpkins, snowflakes. But I'll be honest, as excited as I get about those every holiday, I also don't want to store 15 waffle makers that I only use a couple times a year. So we stick with the regular round ones, but hey, you do what works for you. I actually have 4 waffle makers going at once. Otherwise, I'd be standing there flipping waffles all morning. Here's the cool thing. These recipes come with a lot of different variations, which make it really nice if your family has food allergies or maybe you're just trying to avoid a trip to the grocery store. Some of these recipes are made with oats instead of flour, so they're naturally gluten-free. The zucchini blueberry waffles are one of our favorites, and they're loaded with eggs for extra protein, which I love. It's perfect in the summer when zucchini is also fresh from the garden. On the flip side, the pumpkin chocolate chip waffles are egg-free, which comes in really handy if you have an egg allergy or if egg prices just skyrocket in the winter and we're all hurting when we're trying to buy eggs from the store. Now, our family does fine with eggs, but it's nice to have variety and some wiggle room for the budget too. The other thing about these recipes is that a few of them call for whole wheat flour, which is nice because you get that extra nutrition. But it can also make things a little dense depending on the flour that you're using. One trick I love is to use white whole wheat flour. It's lighter but still nutrient dense. So if you're making muffins or waffles and you feel like they're a little more on the dense side, this is a trick that I love to use to make the overall texture fluffier and lighter. Sub about 1/3 of the flour with oat flour. It's as easy as taking your oats and putting them into the blender and grinding them up into a powder. That swap gives the waffles a softer texture and an extra nutritional boost. Once we've made a big batch, I store them in Rubbermaid containers with wax paper between the layers so they don't stick in the freezer. Each container holds about 30 mini waffles, and I can stack 2 of them neatly on a freezer shelf. In the mornings, they're easy to grab and reheat. Technically, the mini waffles fit in a toaster, but unfortunately, I found that they don't always heat evenly that way, especially if they're being heated from frozen. So instead, I pop 2 waffles in the microwave for about 2 minutes at 60% power with a paper towel over them to keep in the moisture, and they come out warm and soft, perfect with a little butter and syrup. That means that my kids get homemade veggie loaded waffles in about 2 minutes most mornings. It's definitely more work up front, but let's be honest. Waffles make kids light up at breakfast, and when they're veggie loaded, you get to feel pretty good about it too. Now, I know some of you are wondering, is all this really worth it? I mean, waffles, muffins, baked oatmeal, yes, they're delicious, but is it really that much healthier than grabbing a box off the shelf? The short answer, absolutely, by a mile. Here's the quick version. Compared to boxed waffles, instant oatmeal packets, and those little store bought mini muffins, the homemade versions have double the protein, 2 to 5 times the fiber, and this is a big one, they actually deliver real vitamins and minerals from fruits and veggies. The packaged stuff just can't compete. And here's why it matters. Protein gives your kids steady energy and focus instead of a sugar crash first thing in the morning. Fiber helps digestion, balances blood sugar, and keeps them full longer so they can focus better in school. Vitamins and minerals like vitamin A from carrots, vitamin C from zucchini and blueberries, and even iron and potassium are coming from real food, not a synthetic fortified powder stirred into the mix. These are the kinds of swabs that actually change how your kids feel, focus, and even behave throughout the day. For example, the carrot cake baked oatmeal gives you over 4,000 IU of vitamin A from real carrots. The blueberry zucchini waffles bring in vitamin C, potassium, and extra protein. And those spinach chocolate chip muffins? Yep, your kids are eating spinach before 9 a.m. and they don't even notice. Or maybe they just don't care. The store-bought versions can't touch that kind of nutrition boost. Now, if you want to geek out a little more, I put together a full side-by-side nutrition chart comparing these recipes to their boxed counterparts. It's eye-opening. You'll find that chart on my blog, and I'll link it in the show notes for you too. As much as I love making breakfast for my family because I know that they're getting so much nutrition, there are definitely times when life gets busy and I think to myself, whose idea was this to make breakfast from scratch? Do you remember on the TV show Friends when Monica decides that they should make the presents for Valentine's Day? And she tells Chandler in advance that they have to make presents. But when the time comes, she gets busy and completely forgets that they have to make the presents. And then she's saying, make the presents. Make the presents. Whose idea was it to make the presents? Sometimes I feel like that about breakfast. I'm like, make the breakfast. Whose idea was it to make the breakfast? And then I find myself at the store looking at the cereal aisle, trying to decide which choice will be the healthiest and which ones my kids will actually eat at the same time. And as I'm comparing nutrition labels, I remember how completely nutritionally deficient all of these options are. And then I reluctantly take myself back into the kitchen and make the healthy breakfast because I know that being consistent gives my family such a rich provision of nutrients that help them live their best lives. So yes, sometimes it is a sacrifice, and sometimes you make the breakfast and you're so proud and you're feeling like some kind of Pinterest mom winning at life. And other days you're wondering what in the world you signed up for, but I promise it's always worth it. Now, you might be on board and you're like, okay, let's do this. I see that this is reasonable. I can spend an hour a week making a healthy breakfast, but you want to know the recipes and I'm about to give them to you. But I've got to give credit where credit is due. These recipes I've been sharing with you today, I didn't actually create them myself. They come from my all-time favorite veggie-loving food blogger, Tasha Butler from The Natural Nurturer. I discovered her blog over probably 6 years ago, and these recipes have been on repeat in our house ever since. Honestly, I've tried plenty of recipes from other food bloggers, and they don't just hit the same. Tasha has such integrity in how she develops her recipes. They're simple, practical, and kid approved. Her site is an absolute goldmine. Now, I love food and I love cooking, well, most of the time, but I'm not a food blogger. My passion is helping moms build lasting wellness for their families, not reinventing recipes when someone else has already done such a beautiful job. That's why I want to point you straight to her resources because I know they'll bless you the way they've blessed us. I'll include links on the blog page to all of our family favorites so you can grab those recipes really easily. And if you're on Pinterest, I've also got a board called Healthier Than Cereal Breakfast for Kids, where I've collected loads of great ideas for you to explore and save to your own Pinterest boards. So seriously, go check out The Natural Nurturer. Try saying that 10 times fast. The Natural Nurturer. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, or even dessert, she's got creative, veggie loaded recipes that will make you wonder what kind of magic just happened in your kitchen. Well, friend, that brings us to the end of this series, and what a journey it's been. We've gone from shifting your family's food culture to moving veggies from dinner to breakfast to handling objections at the table. And now, finally, into the kitchen with real recipes and a system that makes it all sustainable. But here's the truth, the journey doesn't end here. A healthy breakfast is just the beginning. It's the perfect way to start the day with something fun, nourishing, and creative. But it's only one piece of your family's bigger wellness story. So here's my encouragement. Start small. Pick one recipe, try one new change, and go from there. Don't pressure yourself to do it all at once or get it perfect. Give yourself and your family grace to live in the in-between space. Remember, small changes today add up to life-changing transformation over time. Our family is living proof of that, and I know yours can be too. And I'd love to see how this plays out in your kitchen. If you try one of these recipes, post it on social media and tag me at Chava Wellness with the hashtag VeggieLove. Share your pictures, your wins, your tweaks. I want to cheer you on and celebrate the ways you're building health in your home. Thank you so much for joining me in this series. I hope it's given you both hope and practical tools for raising kids who truly love their veggies. And trust me, what feels impossible today can absolutely become your family's new normal tomorrow. You got this, Mama. Mama, I hope this episode blessed you and reminded you that you were beautifully and uniquely made to thrive. If today's conversation spoke to your heart, I'd love for you to take a moment to leave a rating and review. Not only does it encourage me, but it helps more tired mamas discover the hope, healing, and energy they've been searching for. You're not in this alone. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Together, we'll reclaim your energy, renew your health, and revive your spirit, one step at a time. Until next time, remember, you are beautifully designed by God to live with energy, clarity, and joy. You're not just surviving, Mama. You're stepping into the vibrant life you were created for. I'm cheering you on.